All right, we are live for NBA opening night. We got a 2-game slate to talk about here, guys. And I guess what we can do is let's go over the news, and then we can quickly go through what I think the rotations will look like, and then kind of talk through a little bit of ownership and answer some questions. So, yeah, I'm excited for NBA to be back. It feels like, I don't know, I feel like a kid on Christmas. So the big news here is Beal now. So the Suns have kind of been trolling, man. Though last night it was, or a couple days ago, it was, oh, Beal and Booker, they're going to play, right? They're good to go. Last night it was Beal's probably out and Booker's 50-50. And then this morning it was, all right, Beal's probably out and Booker's in. And now it's Beal going to warm up and may or may not play. So it's just like, the Suns are just, man, like, I have no idea. So I still think there's a probably greater than 50% chance that Brad Beal does not play, but I think it's possible. And I watched the video from Woj, and he said, yeah, like, Beal's feeling a lot better today. I also saw like a video of Beal in shoot around, and he looked decent. So I do still think there's a chance that Beal plays here, which would definitely switch up the slate once again. But yeah, if you guys are just coming in, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Obviously pumping out a lot of content for NBA, NFL, player prop stuff as well. If you guys do enjoy these streams, make sure to let me know. We'll try to do a lot in the future. Obviously do these every day on Patreon for Patreon members, but going to do it today for the public for opening day. So let's quickly, if you guys missed the video that I uploaded last night, let's kind of talk through where I think the rotations are going to be. And then we'll talk some ownership, all that good stuff. There's a couple plays that I really just don't understand why guys are getting ownership, so we'll talk about that. But Lakers. So we know what the Lakers starting lineup is going to be, right? It's going to be LeBron, it's going to be Anthony Davis, it's going to be Reeves, it's going to be Russell, and it's going to be Taurean Prince. Off the bench, I think you're going to see a combination of Christian Wood / Jackson Hayes kind of backing up AD. I think Jackson Hayes plays a bit more because the matchup, like, Wood is just really bad defensively. So I think if they try to put Wood on Jokic at all, like, Jokic will just cook him. So I don't know if the Lakers can really afford to play Christian Wood a ton here. You're obviously going to see Rui play a good amount off the bench. You're going to see Gabe Vincent. And then if I had to guess, I would say Christie is in the rotation over Cam Reddish. So that's what I think the Lakers rotation will look like. I think the guys that will play the most off the bench for the Lakers are going to be Rui and Gabe Vincent. For the Nuggets, we know normal starters: Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Gordon, and KCP. Off the bench, I think you see Christian Brown. I think you see Reggie Jackson. I think you see Zeke Naji for sure. That's 8. As far as the 9th guy goes, I think you probably see a little bit of Justin Holiday, maybe a little bit of Peyton Watson, maybe a little bit of Strother. Strother's one of those guys that I mentioned that, like, I just do not want any part of him if he's going to be popular. I don't think he plays much, if at all. And right now he's projecting for a fair amount of ownership. So he feels like a complete fish play. Now, I know he played really well in the preseason. And I do think he's going to be a part of this rotation as the season goes on. I don't know if that means he's going to be playing tonight, though. And especially if he's going to get ownership, that's just something I just don't want to mess with at all. Now, as far as Phoenix goes, like I said, it really depends on Brad Beal. So KD, Booker, Nurkic, Okogie should be the other starters. If Beal is in, he'll start. If not, I do think they go to Grayson Allen in the starting lineup. And then you're going to see Eric Gordon play good minutes off the bench. You're going to see Drew Eubanks back up Nurkic. And then it gets a little bit murky from there, in my opinion. I think if there's no Beal, you probably see a little bit of Goodwin. And then you probably see a little bit of these wings, like little Keita Bates-Diop, Watanabe, but, like, I just don't have, like, a good read on the wings here, like the backup wings, so I'm probably just not going to mess with it. But like I said, I think the Suns rotation is the hardest to try to nail down. And then for the Warriors, I think they go with Steph, Chris Paul, Clay, Wiggins, and Looney. They could also start, like, Kuminga over Chris Paul and bring Chris Paul off the bench. Wouldn't worry me whatsoever with Chris Paul. He's still one of the best plays, obviously, on the slate. But, yeah, if they go with the top 5 guys as the starters, then you're going to see Kuminga off the bench. I expect good minutes from him. You're going to see Gary Payton off the bench. I expect good minutes from him. And then you're going to see Dario Saric, in my opinion, play the backup 5. I think he's an interesting value. And then maybe a little bit of Corey Joseph, maybe a little bit of Moses Moody, possibly Jackson Davis, but I don't think he plays much, if at all. That's kind of where I think the rotations are right now for all these teams. And yeah, really the only piece of news that we still need is Brad Beal, right? And I do think there still is a chance that he does play. Now, as far as ownership goes, as I mentioned, like one of the plays that really just did not make sense to me was Strother, and the fact that he is right now projecting for like close to 30% ownership. I think if that holds, if that is in fact true, I think that's by far the worst play of the slate in Julian Strother, because I'm not even convinced he plays. Right? I'm not 100% convinced he plays, and if the ownership's going to be there, I just think that is just a horrific play. So that really stood out to me. I was like, what are we doing here? Again, I do think he's a good player, and he played really well in the preseason, but I'm just not convinced he's going to play much, if at all, in his opening game. Other ownership, so it's not a big surprise right now that you're seeing at the top, the two Suns guys in Booker and KD, right? We know if Beal does not play, those guys are going to look really good. A lot of the Warriors are at the top of ownership as well, and that also is not a surprise to me, right? We talked about that in the video. Basically, all the starters are a bit underpriced outside of Steph, who I think is about correctly priced. But, Clay is very popular. Wiggins is really popular. Looney is projected for a lot of ownership. Kuminga is projecting for a lot of ownership off the bench, or, if he starts or not. So I have no real issue with the Warriors chalk either. Eric Gordon right now is projecting for a fair amount of ownership too. I think that one's going to depend for Brad Beal. If Brad Beal's in, then I don't want anything to do with a really popular Gordon. If Brad Beal's out, I think he is a good value play, and chalk I would be fine eating. What else? Again, we mentioned Strother. I really don't get that play. Just give me give me Taurean Prince over Strother because it's starting. That one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then the Suns rotation, as I said, the bench rotation outside of Eric Gordon and Eubanks, I'm not really confident with a ton. Again, that's assuming Grayson Allen starts. I will say the ownership does feel a little bit low right now in Grayson Allen, assuming Brad Beal's out. So I think you could play Grayson Allen over Eric Gordon. Like, that ownership does not seem right to me right now. Grayson Allen, like a fraction of the ownership of Eric Gordon. Let's see. What else was there that I wanted to talk about? So kind of went through ownership. So game theory, right? So it's a 2-game slate. Anything is on the table opening night, right? So you can definitely stack up one of these games, right? Because is it possible that one of these games blows out? Yeah. And maybe the other game shoots out. So, most likely the winning lineup tonight is going to have probably a somewhat even split of these two games, maybe a little bit of a lean towards the later game, but it's definitely possible that one of these games blows out. So if you're building a ton of lineup, sure. I mean, you can full game stack one of these games. I think the game with the higher ceiling is going to be the Suns-Warriors game. I think that game is going to be very little defense played, but like that type of approach is definitely in play. Now, as far as optimal build goes, I think right now your optimal is probably getting to Nikola Jokic. I think you're probably getting to one of the main Suns, whether it be KD or Booker. And then I think you're probably trying to get to at least one of these Warriors. I think Chris Paul being my favorite. But again, you have Clay, Wiggins, Looney, Kuminga all look really, really good. So I think your optimal is probably starting with something like that. Again, I think you play Jokic. I think you play one of the main two Suns, and I think you get at least one of those like Warriors guys. I think the Warriors are very clearly underpriced, and then kind of go from there. Now, again, there's a lot of different ways you can go in tournaments, right? Can you consider playing, Anthony Davis over Jokic? Sure. But right now, I'm actually a little bit surprised about it. Jokic is not projecting for as much ownership as I thought. He's only the 4th highest owned player on the slate, coming in at sub 50% ownership. I thought it was going to be a lot higher than that, to be honest, for Nikola Jokic. So if that ownership is correct and he's going to be sub 50%, like I'm just slamming Jokic, right? I honestly thought he could have been closer to the 75-80% range, and right now it's not looking like that's the case. So if that ownership holds, then I'm just going to slam Nikola Jokic, right? Because I think he is just by far your best spend up. But I think that's how I would go about building your optimal. Again, it would probably be Jokic, one of the main Suns, and at least one of those Warriors starters. And then kind of go from there, right? If Beal gets rolled out, I think looking to like one of those Suns value guys makes sense. Gordon, Grayson Allen, Josh Okogie, I think all look pretty good. I think that the Lakers would probably be my least favorite team overall to target on this slate, just factoring in salary and everything. Yeah, so let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to mention? Again, it's only 2 games, but a lot of different ways you can approach this slate. And I will say leaving a little bit of salary on the table on the main slate is definitely viable as well. If you're shooting for that, first place, trying to avoid dupes, you can still get unique by leaving a little bit of salary on the table. I tend to do that a little bit more on the showdown, like the late showdown. I'll be leaving a decent amount of salary on the table because if you go back and just look how pro players play the showdown slates, you can see that they leave a lot of salary on the table. Like I saw average salary for a lot of the top pros that I respect in NFL Showdown, like the salary cap is $50,000. Their average salary was like $45,000. So they were on average leaving like $5K on the table. Now I don't think I have to go that extreme on the Showdown slates tonight for NBA. But I do think that trying to leave a little bit of salary on the table to avoid dupes is definitely how you want to go about building this plus EV lineup. So you're getting unique without being stupid is how you should be focusing on your Showdown NBA lineups. All right, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about for these teams. I think that's kind of it. So we can open up some questions, guys. Leave them in the chat. Happy to answer anything, really. But we have a big day tomorrow. I want to say it's 12 games tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, 12 games tomorrow, and then we're back to another 2-gamer on Thursday. So hopefully we get to I think the sweet spot for slates is anywhere from 6 to 8 games. So hopefully we get to that sooner rather than later, as opposed to these 2-game slates and the 12-game slates. All right, so yeah, leave some questions in the chat, guys. Let's do it. Again, if you do enjoy, just make sure to like. All right, so let's see. Jokic, Darius Arch, and Okogie, or Durant, Michael Porter Jr., and Gordon? That's a good question. I think of the 2 options, I actually do prefer the second one. I watching DK. There you go. Get jacked for tonight, man. I'm gonna be mad if Beal plays. So I don't think he plays, but the video that I watched from Woj was I think there's now a chance. Where I think earlier in the day, I thought there was very, very small chance. Nurkic or Looney. So they're a little bit of different price points. I think that Looney is safer, right? He's $1,000 cheaper. But if you want to talk the ceiling between these two guys, Nurkic has the much, much higher ceiling, right, between these two centers. I just don't know what the minutes are going to look like for Nurkic. So I think his range of outcomes tonight is pretty wide. I would not be surprised if Nurkic plays 18 minutes. I'd also not be surprised if he plays 32 minutes. And if you get that higher end of Nurkic, where he plays minutes maybe into the 30s, I think he could have a really big game. So I think Looney's much safer. I feel way more secure about Looney's role, especially without Draymond. But I will say, if you're shooting for that upside, Nurkic is a guy that I like the ceiling more than with Looney. Justin Holiday, have any value in your opinion? I don't think it's worth it. We know Justin Holiday is not a good point per minute guy, and I think he's kind of fringe in the rotation, not in the rotation. So I just don't think it's worth it to go there. Jokic or Looney on FanDuel. I think I would try to get to Jokic on FanDuel. Yeah. What do you think ownership will be on Booker now that he's been questionable? Right now, Booker is projected to be the highest owned play of the slate. So, I mean, him and KD are going to be very popular. And like I said, I think, assuming Beal's out, I would try to get to one of those guys. I mean, they're just too cheap, right? They're too cheap for their roles. 8-4 for KD and 8-3 for Booker. It's just too cheap. So I would try to get to one of those guys. And yeah, right now, Booker's the highest owned play of the slate. That could change, but he is massive chalk right now. Okay, let's see. Any strong lands in Gordon or Grayson? So, I mean, I don't think this ownership is correct, but right now Eric Gordon is projected for just way more ownership than Grayson Allen. If that's the case, I prefer Grayson Allen. But if they're similarly owned, Grayson and Gordon, I don't really have any super strong takes. So I think with those two, I'm going to give the edge to whoever's lower owned in tournaments. And right now, it looks like Grayson is going to be the lower owned option of the two. Let's do it, man. Safest 4.3K guard. Let's see. 4.3. I would say definitely Eric Gordon right now. Yeah. He's projecting for like mid-20s minutes. I think he's your safest for sure. Player prop stuff. I took Chris Paul over 11 rebounds plus assist and D'Angelo Russell over 19 points plus assist. I might take something in the late game, but I'm waiting for Beal news. So that's all I have right now. I'm not going crazy opening night. I don't see like a ton of value, but I might have one more later on in the night. Bates Diop, yeah, I don't really have a good feel on Bates Diop and Watanabe and Nasir Little to the point where I just don't think it's necessary. I think there's other plays in that range that I would much rather take the shot on. So if you're dumpster diving right in that range, there's a lot of guys I'd prefer. I'm pretty high on Dario Saric at 3.4. I think Taurean Prince is very safe at 3.5. You got Gary Payton, who I think sees solid minutes at 3.9. You got a Koji at 4K. There's just a lot of guys I would much rather go to than trying to figure out, those low usage wings like Bates Diop or Watanabe or Nasir Little. Like, I don't know what the minutes are going to look like for those guys. I do like Kuminga. Yeah, I think Kuminga looks pretty good. And no one runs worse. Correct, man. No one does run worse than me. I mean, I literally got hooked out of a 25x last night on McCaffrey rush attempts. That was tough stuff. Booker and Looney or D'Lo and Murray. I think Booker and Looney right now. Thoughts on Eubanks for tournaments? I don't love the price point for him. So, like, if he was a little bit cheaper, I think I'd have a bit more interest. I will say, like, if the minutes are limited on Nurkic, they're probably extended on Eubanks. But, again, the salary is a little bit tough to get to Eubanks. So, kind of hard for me to go there. But if you think that they do really limit Nurkic in this game, then I'm okay taking a shot on him. I just, again, the price point is not great for a backup center. 50% Jokic for what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm seeing like high 40s for Jokic. I honestly thought it'd be higher. So that's why I said, like, I am totally fine just eating that Jokic chalk. I thought he would be in like the 70% range. Right now he's not. All right, where else are we at? Chris Paul or Looney, definitely Chris Paul. Thoughts on Rui? Fine for tournaments. He's a guy that obviously can put the ball in the bucket. I don't love the price point for him though. 3 stars, yeah, you can make it work tonight where you play 3 spend ups. There's enough value, especially if Beal gets ruled out, that you can make that work. Nurkic or Looney, same thing. I think Looney is much safer. I think he's going to play, probably mid to high 20s minutes. Has a pretty high floor, good rebounder. Where Nurkic range outcomes is very wide, but I do like the ceiling more on Nurkic. Let's see. Koji and Grayson or Gordon and Kuminga. Gordon and Kuminga. That's Eric Gordon, right? Is that Eric Gordon? Yeah, I think I'd rather go to Gordon Kuminga. Would you play Looney and Kuminga together? I think that's fine. I think Kuminga is going to play more of the wing, so I don't really think there's like negative correlation there with Looney and Kuminga. I think Saric is going to back up Looney, so totally fine running both Kuminga and Looney together. This is the year that comeback finally makes a jump. So talented. He's impressed me so far in the preseason. Yes, and the quotes are that he has the green light when he's out there. So I've kind of been back and forth with Kuminga. Early on in his career, I was like, oh, I think he's gonna be really solid. Last year, I was like, oh, he kind of took a step back, and this year it looks like he's taking a step forward again. But Koji is 9.5 on Underdog, 12.6 on Sleeper, just like lots of middle room. Yeah, you can definitely middle that. I'm not even on Sleeper, but great opportunity there for middling. A Koji or Gordon. I think Gordon for me over a Koji. Minutes projection for Gary Payton. I think he's going to play like around 20 minutes. Now, his minutes could fluctuate a little bit too, because Gary Payton's one of their better defenders. And obviously they can throw him on like Devin Booker. But I think, probably around 20 minutes would be what I would guess for Gary Payton. How many studs is viable on FanDuel? I think you can get to probably 3 studs there, right? Do you like KD rebounds? I'm right now, I'm not touching anything from the Suns until we get Beal confirmation. Booker and KD together, I think you can play them both together. I would try to get to at least one of them. I think they're both clearly underpriced. So, yeah, I think it's okay to play them both together. Taurean free square. No, I don't think he's a free square. But I think Taurean Prince is relatively safe. The issue with Torian Prince is he's low usage guy. So you're kind of relying on him to knock down some corner threes. But he did play really well in the preseason. I will give him that. Like Torian Prince, I was like, oh, I kept fading him in the preseason. I'm like, oh, this is not going to continue. And Torian Prince continued to play well. So I have no issue playing him. I don't think he's a free square, though. Yeah, definitely a Koji over Goodwin. Goodwin's a guy that I'm not super confident in his minutes. If you look across the industry, Goodwin is only like a lot of sites are projecting Goodwin for very few minutes, like 6 to 8 minutes. So definitely a Koji. I'm not super confident, again, in the minutes for Goodwin, even though I think Goodwin will be productive when he's out there, if he's out there, but I don't expect a ton of minutes from him. Curry and Looney or Jokic and Reggie. I think Curry and Looney of those two. Is Cam Reddish not going to play? I'm not sure if he plays. I personally think that Christie's ahead of him. And even if Reddish plays, I don't think he plays a ton. Prince or Vincent? Are we talking? They're different price points, right? Vincent is 4-5. Prince. I mean, I think I would rather have Vincent straight up, but Prince is also $1,000 cheaper. Yeah, if they had been the same price, I think I would lean Gabe Vincent over. I think I would lean him over Torian Prince. If Beal plays, do you think he will play majority of the game or be limited? I think if he plays, he'll play normal minutes unless he aggravates the injury. And the Suns did say they're going to be cautious. So I think if he plays, he's going to be close to full go. Release salary on the table, like $3,000. Not really on the main slate. I think more so on the Showdown slate. I think you can leave a little bit of salary on the table on the main slate, but I wouldn't go crazy. Like I'm not trying to leave like $1,000 on the table on the main slate. More so on the Showdown, right? And that's what I'd recommend. Go back and look and see how the pros play it. I'm more willing to leave salary on the table on the Showdown. I think you can leave a little bit on the table on the main slate, but I would not go crazy. CP3 over 5.5 assists, good. Yeah, the prize picks, Taco, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is, if you go back and look at like his preseason game logs, like, yeah, I think he has a very good chance to hit that. Does Moody have minutes tonight? I'm not sure. If you go back and look at their dress rehearsal game, Moody didn't play a ton, right? Now, this was a game that, I'll bring it up. This is a game that Kevon Looney did not play, so they started Jackson Davis. So I think you can just kind of swap Jackson Davis and Looney, but I'll read you guys the minutes for that game. It was the first game against the Kings. Oh, wait, hold on. Was it the second game against the Kings? Yeah, it was the second game against the Kings. So this is the rotation. You saw Jackson Davis start for Looney. So Kuminga played 29 minutes. Jackson Davis played 25. So again, I think you just put Looney in there. Wiggins played 31. Steph Curry played 31. Klay Thompson played 32. Sarge played a lot off the bench, 28. I don't think he plays that much. Again, I expect a little bit more on for Looney. Chris Paul played 30 minutes off the bench. Gary Payton played 17. And then you saw 9 minutes for Corey Joseph and 7 minutes for Moody. So I think like Kojo and Moody are just a little bit too thin of plays for me to go there tonight. What do you think about Sarge minutes? I think high teens for Sarge. I think he'll probably play whatever Looney does not play. That's my guess. So if you give like Looney 30 minutes, I think Sarge gets 18. If you give Looney, 28 minutes, I think Sarge gets 20. Wiggins or Aaron Gordon, I think I would lean Andrew Wiggins there. Rudy Gay will definitely not play. I think he got cut, or I could be wrong. I could have sworn Rudy Gay got cut. Yeah, he got waived. He's not even on the team. Okay, what else? Where are we at? You think Jokic going over 12 rebounds? It kind of just feels about right. If Beal gets ruled in after first game locks, are you going to try to get him in your lineups with leverage? I'm going to consider it. Yeah, because I think Beal, if he gets ruled in after lock, will be lower owned than he should be. Right? If this was just a normal slate and we knew that Brad Beal was in, like he would probably be more popular. So I will consider it. I don't think we'll see what my lineup looks like. Hayes versus Sarge. I think it's pretty clearly Sarge for me. I'm a lot more confident in his role right now. And the Lakers backup bigs, I think will kind of be a combo of Hayes and Wood. Beal isn't going to play. I think there's a chance he plays. If you look at what Woj talked about a little bit earlier, he's feeling a lot better, I guess, today, and he's going to warm up and see how he feels. I still think it's better than 50% chance he does not play, but I do think it's at least possible that he plays. Russell over Reeves, for me, that's relatively close. Thoughts on Gabe Vincent, kind of just there for me. Not going to be super popular. I think plays the backup point, probably plays high teens, low 20s minutes. Wiggins or Looney. So Wiggins projects a little bit better. I think they're very similar plays. I think you could probably argue that Wiggins has the higher ceiling than Looney. What do you think the starting lineup for the Suns will be if Beal's out? I think Booker, Grayson Allen, KD, Koji, and Nurkic. Hayes or Prince, any leverage stacking the first game. You're going to be unique if you do that, right? I think a lot of the field is going to go a bit heavier on the second game. So, I mean, you never know. Could the Warriors blow out the Suns tonight? I don't like it's possible. I think, again, most likely scenarios tonight that both games stay competitive, but it is possible. I don't think that's the direction that I want to go. If I was building, though, like a lot of lineups, again, I only build one lineup and I mainly play single entry. If I was building a lot of lineups, if I was building 150 lineups, yeah, I probably would have a few game stacks of each game, and just in case. Is it viable to play Allen and Gordon? Yeah, I think so. If Beal's out, those guys should see pretty solid minutes. I would think Allen would start and play 20 plus. I think Eric Gordon would play 20 plus off the bench. So totally fine playing them both if Beal's out. Having Murray and Jokic on the first game and stacking the late game, that's fine. Yeah. Do you think CP3 assists? Yeah, I take all the tacos. But yeah, if you go look at like whether he starts or not, like even if Chris Paul comes to the bench, I'm not worried. I'm expecting around 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. What site do you use projections? A lot. Stochastic, ETR. I try to look at kind of everywhere and get a good gauge, but those are the main ones. Allen over Gordon. I think Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon are similar plays. Right now, Gordon is projecting for a lot more ownership. We'll see where that comes in at closer to lock, but I think both those guys are good values. Thoughts on Clay? He's one of the guys I never really like playing, Klay Thompson, but I do think he's a bit underpriced and he has a ceiling. He just has probably the lowest floor of the starters for Golden State because he can be pretty score independent. So yeah, no real strong takes on him. I think a bit underpriced and has a ceiling, but you will he can kill you a lot. Like Klay has killed me a lot over the years. Booker and Gordon or D'Lo and Wiggins if you have KD. I think a slight lean to the first one of Booker and Gordon. Chris Paul, D'Lo, Booker, Allen, Wiggins, Prince, Gordon, Sarge, Jokic. That's totally fine. Kuminga disappoints. It's possible, but he has looked really well in the preseason. And like I said, they're giving him the green light. So he's someone I'm definitely considering tonight. Curry or Paul on FanDuel. So there's still different price points. Straight up Curry. And I think point per dollar. Chris Paul is a lot. I know he's a lot pricier there on FanDuel. Point per dollar probably still would be Steph too. Highest upside for a Koji, Prince, or Grayson. I think Grayson has the highest upside of those three because Grayson's the guy that will give you 20 real life points, but he's also relatively scoring dependent too. You like Strother at all? Yes, so he is one that I would have no interest in right now. I think he played really well in the preseason, and I think as we go on for the season, he's going to be in the rotation. I'm not convinced he plays, and right now he's projecting for a fair amount of ownership, so that's one I'm probably going to stay away from. If he was really low owned, then maybe okay, but he's actually getting a fair amount of ownership right now, and I'm not so sure. So the Denver rotation I'm sure of off the bench, Christian Brown for sure, Deke Naggio, backup Jokic, and Reggie Jackson will play the backup point. Those three, I think for sure, are in the bench rotation. I think Holiday is a candidate to play a little bit. I think Peyton Watson can play a little bit. I think Strother can play a little bit, but if the field is just going to assume that Strother is going to see decent minutes off the bench, then I'm just not going to do it. I think he's definitely overowned right now. Sarge over Prince? I think so. Yeah, it is. I think both are solid values. I think I would lean that way. Booker and KD or Booker and Murray? So basically KD versus Jamal Murray. Is that the question? Well, they're different price points. Obviously, I would much rather have KD over Murray. Do you think Usman Garuba? No to Garuba, maybe to Nasir Little. Thoughts on Saric role? I think he's going to back up Looney and probably play whatever Looney does not play. So I think if Looney plays 30 minutes, Saric hits 18. I think if Looney plays 28, Saric hits 20. Favorite cheap guard? Probably Eric Gordon or Grayson Allen right now. Looney and Saric in the same lineup, fine. I think they're cheap enough where you can do it. I don't think it's ideal because I don't think they're going to play together on the court much, if at all. But like Looney's a bit underpriced and Saric is close to min price. So again, I don't think that's optimal, but I'm not going to say no on a small slate. KD and Booker are both really good spend ups. Minutes projection for Prince, I think probably low to mid 20s is a fair guess. No love for Braun. I think Christian Braun's fine. Kuminga or Gordon. It's pretty close to those two. I'll say Kuminga right now, but I like both for value. Prince of Sarge, small lean to Sarge. Favorite shooting guard under 7K. Okay, let's see. Under 7K, I think I like this. I think D'Lo is probably my favorite point per dollar, but if you can get to Clay, I think I would. I think I would go there for the ceiling. Okogie or Gordon. I like the ceiling more with Gordon. Favorite place in the first game other than Jokic. I think Jamal Murray's solid. I have no real strong takes on the other starters for Denver. I think for the Lakers, I'm pretty high on Anthony Davis as a spend up, and then probably D'Lo in the mid range. Okay, Kuminga or Prince, Kuminga, LeBron or AD. Goodwin if Beal's out. I think Goodwin probably plays a bit, but I wouldn't be super confident in his minutes. How do you feel about Zubac? I haven't looked too much into the props for tomorrow, so that's something I'm going to do more tonight. So I don't have a great answer for you there. Are we positive CP3 starts? Not 100%, but I'm not. Either way, it doesn't matter. Like I have absolute. I think I actually, to be honest, I think I would prefer him to come off the bench because I think the more casual players will kind of worry about it and panic. Oh no, Chris Paul is coming off the bench. Woo, right? They're going to pivot off him. I think I would rather have him come off the bench so it lowers the ownership. Doesn't matter to me either way. He's going to play the same minutes no matter what. So could care less if he starts to come to the bench. I think for me, I would rather have him come off the bench. I think that will lower the ownership. Prioritize Steph Curry or Chris Paul on FanDuel. I don't think you need either. No. Are you saying scoring dependent or scoring dependent? Scoring dependent, like reliant on scoring. I think they don't do a lot of the peripheral stats. What you like for the first game? Just came in. I think Jokic is your top play. Like no real surprise there. Some solid values. The other Denver starters are fine. I like AD. I like D'Lo in the mid range. What are your favorite plays? 3.5K and under. So not a ton of viable guys. Let's see. 3.5 and under. I would say Prince, Saric. I don't know if I have a third. I'm not really confident in anyone else. Definitely Prince and Saric would be my two favorites there. Clay, Clay's getting up there in age. Gary Payton over 0.5 steals. No real strong take. I'm not a huge fan of betting blocks and steals. Brown versus Reggie. That's a good question. I think I'm a little bit more confident in the minutes for Christian Brown. But, I mean, if Reggie gets similar minutes, I think Reggie's going to be the better fantasy producer. That one's really close, to be honest. Brown, if you just look at projections, projects for like a point higher, but he's also a little bit more expensive. So no real strong take there. Zuba. Okay, so we answered that. Who your pay up fade? I think it's kind of hard to get to LeBron at his price point. The one thing I will say about LeBron is he's going to be low owned, but kind of hard. Like it's hard to click him, right? It's hard to click LeBron at 9.3 when I can play his teammate for less at $400, Anthony Davis, and I can play KD and Booker for like $1,000 less. So, I mean, can LeBron have a good game? Sure, but I think it's kind of hard to go there tonight. Michael Porter Jr. and Pope or Justin Holiday or Jamal Booker or Steph. I like Booker. I would go MPJ Pope because I'm just not confident in Holiday's role. I don't think he plays a ton. And Booker or Steph, point per dollar, I prefer Booker. I think straight up, it probably would be Steph. But yeah, I think Booker, since he's $1,000 cheaper, I'd rather go there. Kuminga or Looney, minutes on both. I think you can expect mid to high 20s minutes from Looney and probably mid 20s minutes from Kuminga. I don't think Jackson Davis plays. I'm not going to go there. Because we talked about playing Sarge and Looney. I think it's not optimal because I don't think they're going to be on the court together at the same time. But they're both cheap enough where on a small slate, I think you could do it. From the first game, I took D'Angelo Russell over 19 points plus assists. Favorite play under 5%. Well, right now, Grayson Allen's projecting for sub 5%. So if that holds, it's going to be him. But I don't think that's going to hold, especially if Beal gets ruled out. I slightly prefer D'Lo to Reeves. D'Lo's looked pretty good in the preseason. Yeah, if you go back and just kind of look at his game logs, he's played well. In a lot of those games, AD was in, LeBron was in for a few. So I think I would lean D'Lo. Also, another thing about D'Lo is there's no more Schroeder. There's no more Lonnie Walker. So I think his minutes are more secure this year. Last year, he got benched a lot. I don't think, I think his role is a bit more secure. Let's see. Rui gets minutes. Yeah, Rui's going to play a good amount off the bench. I don't know what I'm doing with Nurkic yet. Because like I said, I think his range of outcomes is very wide. So he is someone that I do, if he pushes for 30-ish minutes, I think he could smash. So I don't know what to do with Nurkic yet, because I just don't have a good feel on the Suns rotation. KD or Booker on FanDuel? What are the price difference? I mean, I think with it being right 3 points for a block and a steal, I think I would lean KD if they're similar priced. Okay, so KD is what, 10-8. What's Booker? 9. I think I thought they were similar price, but Booker being that much cheaper, I think I would lean Booker. Peyton Watson playing, I think he could. I think the guys that I for sure will play for Denver off the bench are going to be Reggie, Zeke Naji, and Christian Brown. Christian Brown over Christie for sure. Yeah, I think Christie probably cracks the rotation, but won't play enough for me to go there. Sarge, Jokic, Kuminga, or Looney, Murray, and Wiggins. I'll say the first one, but it's pretty close. Will Prince be more popular than Sarge? I can tell you. I think. Let me see. They're somewhat similar. Prince is projecting for a little bit more ownership. Looney or Wiggins? Yeah, it's a really close one of those two. I think Wiggins slightly, but they're really similar. I think Wiggins does have the higher ceiling of the two too. Let's see. If Beal's out, I'm playing Nurk over 80. Yeah, I mean, I think Nurkic is a very interesting tournament play tonight because I think his minutes are just could go so many different ways. Wasn't able to do a 5-5-5 best ball now, just time constraint. I did want to do it, but no, sadly didn't do it. AD or Jokic on FanDuel, Jokic, Murray, Allen, Bron, Sarge, AD, Jackson, Gordon, Russell. Yeah, I mean, with LeBron's going to be low owned. That's your one thing of like, it is hard to play him, but he'll be low owned. Kuminga or Allen? I think Kuminga for me over Allen. But I will say again, I think Allen and Eric Gordon probably benefit the most if Brad Beal's out. I think those two. Jamal Murray? I'm fine with Jamal Murray. I have no real like super strong takes on him. Ownership is pretty reasonable. You know, he's around like low 30s in ownership. Yeah, I mean, I think Jamal Murray is totally fine. I will say if you're fading Jokic, then I'm much more inclined to play Jamal Murray. I think one of these guys is going to smash, right? So maybe Jokic gets in foul trouble. Maybe something weird happens, just off game. If that's the case, again, if you're fading Jokic, I think I'm way more inclined to play Jamal Murray. Okay, guys, we're at like almost 300 concurrent viewers. Appreciate that. 60 likes. Let's try to get to 100 before we get out of here. I'll be on for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. So, again, if you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. I think you can play Wiggins and Kuminga together. Yeah. Like, Kuminga can play a lot of different positions. So, I think you can. Sarge versus Prince. I mean, I think it's relatively close to those two. I think the minutes are a bit more secure for Prince because he's starting. Kuminga, Allen, Braun. I think Kuminga. Murray captain with Michael Porter Jr. and D'Lo, or Anthony Davis captain with KCP and Reeves? I think I would go the AD captain one. Jokic good, under 48.5 PRA. Probably just a stay away. There wasn't a ton that I loved on the board for props today. And I usually just not, like, I'm not a fan of like forcing plays too. So favorite sub 5K values. Okay, sub 5K. Kuminga, Grayson Allen, and Eric Gordon. I think KCP's, like, if Brad Beal is out, I would rather play KCP over Gordon and Allen. If Brad Beal is, or if Brad Beal's in, I would rather have KCP over those two of Grayson Allen, Gordon. If Brad Beal's out, I think it's pretty close. I think KCP's right there with those guys. Yeah, I'm totally fine with KCP. I will say without Bruce Brown there, I think you can feel a little bit more confident with his minutes. Oh, sorry, allergies are killing me a bit. Let's see, Gordon or Porter on FanDuel. So I think Gordon has the higher floor. I like the ceiling more with Michael Porter Jr. Curry and Gary Payton or Murray and Wiggins? I think I'd go Murray and Wiggins in that scenario. Is Goodwin an option? Do you think Booker? Yeah, I think Booker plays normal minutes. I think Goodwin plays a little bit, but I'm not super confident in his minutes. So kind of hard for me to prioritize Goodwin. I don't have FanDuel ownership up right now. I was just looking at DK. Would you rather have Booker, Jokic, or Durant and Murray? Booker and Jokic for sure. Yeah, I definitely prefer that route. I think Booker and KD are very similar, and obviously I'm going to prefer Jokic to Jamal Murray. Are KD, Looney, or Jokic and Rui on FanDuel? I'll say the first one. It's pretty close though. I'm personally not taking anything for Jokic, player prop wise. Yeah, I think the props are pretty sharp there, so I don't think I'm taking anything for Jokic. $8K for CP3. I mean, he's still playable. He's nowhere near the play that he is on DraftKings. I much prefer him on DraftKings. All right, guys. Anything else? A couple more minutes, but yeah, really appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, I'll have YouTube content basically every single day, prop stuff, DFS stuff, both NFL, NBA, and I'll try to do more of these streams when I can for YouTube. But this is something that you'll get every single day if you are a Patreon member. Also, break down the showdown slates as well. Can I fade KD and Jokic for a more balanced build? I mean, yeah, it's a small slate, so anything's on the table. I'll say if you fade KD, you probably look to playing Devin Booker. I think you're playing if you're fading Jokic, I would probably try to get to Jamal Murray. Reeves and Sarge or D'Lo and Prince? I'll say D'Lo and Prince, but pretty close with both those. DK rant tomorrow. Hopefully no rant. Hopefully none. Jackson Hayes, sneaky. I think you'll see a combo of him and Wood as the backup 5. So I think if you're going that route, I would rather play Dario Saric. Would you lean Saric over Prince? I think it's pretty close. I mean, maybe, but like it's very close to those two. Prince projects for a little bit more ownership. Thoughts on Reggie Jackson? I think he's an interesting tournament play. Minutes projection, I think he's going to play like mid to high teens. But he is, a guy that will shoot when he's out there. Not a bad fantasy point per minute player. So I think he's a little bit interesting as kind of a contrarian play. Kind of tough to click him when you have guys in that range like Eric Gordon and other guys. So I think he'll be low owned, playable in a large field tournament, but again, kind of tough to prioritize him. Reeves over 3.5 free throws made seems extremely good. Free throw props, another one that I don't really touch a ton of the free throws. I don't right now, not at the moment. Fave sub 5K. Yes, I think it's. I think right now there's 4 guys. I think you got KCP, you got Kuminga, and then you got Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon. Gordon and Grayson Allen both benefit if Brad Beal's out. I'd feel much more secure about their roles. Thoughts on Dario Saric? I like him. I think if you need like a punt play, I think he's interesting. I think he plays backup 5. I think he'll probably play whatever Looney does not play. So yeah, I think Saric is interesting tonight. All right, well, we'll round it out there, guys. We were live for about 45 minutes, hit almost 300 concurrent viewers. Like I said, just be on the lookout for YouTube content all year. NBA, NFL, prop stuff. Allen 9.5 points. So that's one like I'm eyeing if Brad Beal does not play. Right, there's some Suns props that I'm considering, but I'm waiting for Beal confirmation. So that is one of those that I might take. We'll see. But yeah, enjoy these games, guys. Good luck tonight. Hope to see you guys at the top of the leaderboard. We'll be back. I'll have a video breaking down the 12-game slate probably later tonight, if not early tomorrow. And yeah, really appreciate you guys for watching again. So enjoy and good luck.